On December 26, 2017, the Five Nights at Freddy's Survival Logbook released, an activity book chock full of puzzles and hidden lore, and in the years following its release, it would reveal the names of both Dave Afton and Cassidy, give characterization to major players in FNAF's story, and introduce us all to MatPat's worst nightmare. Nearly 8 years later, FNAF Ticket to Fun would release, another activity book that many fans hoped would reveal lore in a similar manner, especially since it came with a blacklight. For the most part, the book is exactly as it seems, a welcome pack from Fazbear Entertainment, including a pamphlet giving you an introduction as Fazbear's latest employee, a security badge, which either one will be using for my security guard cosplays, some recipes, a word search, a poster, a couple of cutouts from the games, and this thing. I'm pretty sure it's a vinyl sticker, but it feels like a poster and it doesn't have an obvious way to peel it, so I don't know and I'm afraid to try and peel it in case it is a poster. Why is this thing so confusing? On a little side note, can companies please just roll posters? The book came with a lovely Celebrate poster and the art's great. I've had it up in the background for ages, but it kind of is ruined by the massive creases. Like, it's not a big deal, but man, it would look so much nicer if it was just rolled up like they did for the word search and the maybe sticker poster thing. That thing is evil. It confuses me. The book also came with a little blacklight to reveal hidden images throughout the welcome pack, one of which depicting Charlotte Emily. But before we get into what the Ticket to Fun book has to say about her, who is Charlotte Emily and what do we actually know about her? Despite being known now as a major character in the franchise, we actually didn't hear about her until the very end of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator in Henry's ending monologue.
My daughter, if you can hear me, I knew you would return as well. It's in your nature to protect the innocent. I'm sorry that on that day, the day you were shut out and left to die, no one was there to lift you up into their arms the way you lifted others into yours. And then what became of you? I should have known you wouldn't be content to disappear. Not my daughter. I couldn't save you then, so let me save you now.
We know from the Silver Eyes trilogy, Henry's daughter is called Charlotte Emily, a name recently reaffirmed by the FNAF 2 movie. We also know that this cutscene, that the security puppet and Take Cake to the Children minigames are two retellings of the same event, Charlotte being locked outside the restaurant before William Afton does a drive-by, killing her and leaving her corpse in the alley. Once the puppet breaks free from their box, it finds Charlotte's body before being possessed by her, and the rest is history. And I'm definitely not saying that because the rest of the story from there is so convoluted and no one can agree what the correct order of the events are, and I don't want to start any fires. That's what my book theories are for. This is a book theory. When we first saw Take Cake to the Children, a common theory was that this was showing us Fredbear's Family Diner, with its simplistic restaurant design and the only animatronic present being a lightly coloured Freddy, whom we naturally presumed to be Fredbear. Then the Silver Eyes trilogy came along and backed up these claims, with that universe's Charlotte being kidnapped by William Afton at the diner, but one look at Ticket to Fun tells us that this just isn't the case. Quote,
along with food, games, and entertainment, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza also hosts birthday parties. All parties are catered by our Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Kitchen, and goodie bags and balloons are complimentary. Additionally, all children attending parties at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza are provided with wristbands as a souvenir of their time at our establishment, and to easily track party attendees.
And just to hammer home that this is talking about the security puppet minigame, shining a black light over this page reveals the exact same sprite used in that minigame. Not to mention that barely 2 months after the book's release, the FNAF 2 movie came out, where Charlotte Emily attends a birthday party at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, is shunned by the other children, gets killed by William Afton before possessing the puppet. Admittedly, this is in another continuity, but it's much closer to the game's version of events than the Silver Eyes. I'm sorry for betraying you. I swear it won't happen again. But it still leaves the question of when Charlotte died. After all, it seems as if every time we hear of her death we get a new date. In the movie continuity, she dies in 1982, which does line up well with the date in the Silver Eyes. However, 2 books later in that series, it was changed to 1983, which is what I've been going off of. I've also heard the theory that Charlotte dies in 1987, with some of the key evidence being Help Wanted 2's grave order and the FNAF 2 investigation. Fazbear Entertainment has a great video in which he fully explains that theory, which I'll leave linked at the end of this video if you're interested. While some of his points were compelling, I think the 1983 date is still a bit more likely. Whilst many attributed the Grave Order to the Death Order, especially when Help Wanted 2 first came out, it's important to note that these memory dolls are clearly puppets, dolls used in many cultures as well as witchcraft and rituals, often to bring stuff like love, prosperity, or healing. And that last one is what I think is important for these graves. I think us collecting the puppets representing the missing children, victims and Charlotte before lighting their graves is symbolic of them moving on. Their spirits finally being allowed to heal, represented by the puppets, and lighting a candle by their grave in memory of them, or in this case, a giant flaming torch. It also makes sense that Golden Freddy and the Puppet, two characters believed to be setting up UCN and FNAF worlds respectively after FNAF 6 Fire, would be the last to move on, although I'm not sure if Cassie has moved on yet, but that's a can of worms for another day. I did already just start opening can of worms by saying Cassie and not Andrew, but hey, we will! Admittedly, with a Chica's voice line from UCN, I was the first, I have seen everything, can easily be interpreted as Susie being the first victim. However, it could just as easily be that she's the first of the MCI. My reasoning for this is less evidence-based and more how I interpret William's motives when it comes to his murders. I believe he kills Charlotte possibly in a drunken rage sometime after the fight of 83 in a bid to even the score with Henry, based off the Later That Night minigame and his journals in The Silver Eyes. Also, I want to make it clear that this is not justifying Afton's actions, nor is it Will Love. Between how he treats Elizabeth in The Fourth Closet and Vanessa and Michael in the movies, I believe Will Trophy. Hi, Edison Jays here. Will Trophy is a theory under the Will Care umbrella proposing William Afton loved his children, but saw them more as ways to enact his bidding and is how he's depicted in the FNAF movies, perhaps best shown in Vanessa's dream sequence and the impact William's abuse and manipulation has left on Michael. He cares about whether or not they get hurt and he thinks he loves them, but he doesn't actually care about them or their needs. He sees them as a way to get what he wants, like sending Mike down to the sister location bunker. And yes, Will Care is often used in reference to Will Love, the theory that William was a loving, doting father who'd do anything for his family, but it's also an umbrella category. Yeah, I agree, it's confusing. If you want me to give a more in-depth explanation of Will Trophy, complete with evidence for it, then hit subscribe and turn notifications on. After Charlotte possesses the puppet, William tries to recreate the possession, committing the MCI and hiding their bodies in the animatronics out of ease. When he commits the DCI, he can't stuff the bodies into the suits, resulting in the children not possessing the toys, after which he realises that the spirit follows the flesh, as he says in The Fourth Closet. Is there much direct evidence of this happening? Not really, but for me, at least, this is a narratively satisfying explanation to how William discovered Remnant and Possession, and aligns with his portrayal in the novels. So, if she didn't die in 1987, then did she die in 1982? Or 1983? Well, that's where the ticket of fun comes in, since, as we established earlier, it makes a point of pointing out that Freddy Fazbear's had the party wristbands, not Fredbear's, lining up one for one with the security puppet minigame. I know a point of contention has been that it's strange that Freddy's would have such advanced security in 1983. However, I think the reason why we have to play the minigame 3 times is to showcase that the puppet only tracks the green wristband, Charlie's wristband. All 3 times she's the only child to have that wristband, which I would assume is a precaution from Henry to prevent a repeat of the bite of 83. We'd like to put Henry on a pedestal, but he's just as neglectful of a father as William. And Edwin. And Mr. Cassie's dad. And pretty much every parent in Fazbear's franchise. Is Fiona the only good parent in this franchise? We know from Ruin that Freddy's wasn't established until 1983, allowing us to eliminate the 1982 death. So, did we just solve Charlotte's death? Honestly, I don't know, but I feel pretty confident in this theory. I know it's tread ground, but one of the things that I like about theories such as Charlie 87 and David Toyshink is that it asks us to set aside our preconceived biases and what we think we know, and reevaluate the story from another angle. Scott himself said as much in 2015, and God knows that's true a decade later. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. I'm trying to get these series out more consistently, so the support is greatly appreciated. And let me know your thoughts on this theory. As always, thank you for watching, and good bit for now. I'm sorry for betraying you. I swear it won't happen again. Master would be so displeased if only he was alive.